Yeah, that works.
We're coming to you from an undisclosed location, which is our warehouse.
3rd floor.
That's right. That didn't last long.
Right.
So it's been a while. What are you looking at?
Just see if it was on. I assume we handled it.
Yeah. So we got some updates, interesting developments. We were contacted by an automatic email from SK saying that they were having some sale on their LP90 ratchets.
Made in America.
Yeah. I had mixed feelings about SK, mostly because they have not ever reached out to us or seem to care that we exist.
Right.
But and also that all their sockets that we've seen are Chinese now, and I think all of their wrenches are Chinese.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it was interesting to like what was going to be made in the USA because they have this factory.
I think this is kind of like an olive branch. See, these are American-made ratchets. They're giving you a good deal just to get back in good graces. That's my guess.
I don't think so. I think this was an automatic email that they sent to.
Well, when I talked to
email
them at
chain.
SK, they suggested that they wanted to do something nice.
Yeah.
Because it's the most popular ratchets.
Yeah. So we got some.
Yeah.
I had mixed feelings about it, but we got some. We got quarter, 3/8 and a half, right?
And the LP90.
I mean, they'll be on a good deal, and they'll be USA ratchets.
Yeah.
It's hard to pass that up. There's not a. I mean, I can't think of another pair head USA ratchet that we would have access to. You
They're a
what I
lot
mean?
cheaper than the Japanese ratchets.
Right. So there's that. I'm thinking hopefully that'll be next week.
It could well be, yeah.
Yeah. And you have been working on this deal with Lansing Forge. You want to talk about Lansing?
Lansing Forge, an old company, maybe the last that makes big, heavy, pinch point crowbars and form stripping bars, and just all kinds of bars. I don't know if there's anyone left in the country that makes them. And
We used to get them from Barco in New Jersey, and they disappeared.
we used to get them from Council Tool,
They
from
stopped making them.
Barco. Before that, we got them from Wilton, and before that, we got them from the Warren Tool Group.
Oh, okay.
And interestingly, the guy that owns Lansing's Forge, his father used to run Warren Tool Group. So, full circle.
Yeah. So we're back to where we started.
But yeah, they're just basic tools. They're big and they're heavy.
Bars and wedges, though. They
Yeah.
have some
Joint breaking wedges,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of excited about.
And those are wedges with a chisel point on the end.
Yeah. Die setting bars, we're getting those in. And the tongs.
Yeah. What type of tongs? I mean, they're all different styles of tongs, but these aren't your traditional, like, smaller blacksmith tongs. These are like
They're all 24 inches long.
heavy duty. What are you doing with? Do you have any? I have no idea. They're industrial though.
Yeah, they're industrial.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that we noticed that there's not a lot of people selling them. Amazon, all the big guys.
Yeah.
McMaster-Carr.
It's an odd one.
Yeah. And we'll undersell them all. For anyone that wants tongs. They got die setter bars.
Yeah.
All kinds of interesting things that you just can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Or that.
And good prices.
Yeah, and this is the original manufacturer, and so I'm excited about that.
Okay. And that should be in probably next week, 2 weeks.
They have two plants, and the plant that makes the wedges and the die setting bars and the double scrapers, that could well be in next week.
Okay.
The big stuff, it could be a month. But anyway, it's a big company. Like I said, they've got two plants, but it's run like a small business. There's just a few people in the office. They all, they've been there a long time. They know what's going on. So I'm very excited to be dealing with them. Very pleased.
Last little minor update is I've been talking to Tecton.
Oh, right.
They've got a line of roll-around toolboxes that they want to get out in front of people. So we're working on some kind of deal where we could have one of the boxes down here, and we'll.
And they're American made, right?
think they're Canadian.
Oh, well, it's close enough.
Yeah. But they'll be full of Tecton tools, and it'll be all their USA Tecton stuff. So they've got angle wrenches and crow feet, and they're trying to come out with a line of service wrenches and other stuff. They've got all sorts of stuff on the line.
The Martin business. Do they have their own plant? Are they making it themselves?
Yes. So they're a strange story because they're like the reverse of what has happened normally, which is they were an imported company that has now built a factory in Michigan and is making tools in the U.S. And they're kind of replacing a lot of what used to be imported with domestic products.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah.
And we have their screwdrivers. They're nice.
I like their hard handle screwdrivers.
Yeah.
So that's coming. We still haven't finalized the details, but I think it'll work out. And kind of the main event was I got a call from a guy at the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago. I don't know if that story's ever going to come out or if it did, but anyway, it was about the closing of the Craftsman plant. Stewie from Tool Guide, which is a website that does like tool reviews and it has all sorts of interesting stuff. He was the one that recommended this Wall Street Journal guy call us.
But you talked to him for like an hour.
I talked to him for a while because he originally wanted to know what my opinion was of why the Craftsman plant closed. And but if you want to talk about that, you're going to have to talk about the 40 years of everything that's come before that's kind of led up to that.
Right.
Because you can't understand that thing in isolation.
Right.
So we had a long conversation. But his main question, which I thought about after I talked to him for a while, was why can these larger companies not figure out how to make stuff in the United States? Because from our experience, these smaller guys are doing well.
Yeah.
And so you see, the Tecton, right? Lansing Forge, all these companies we've been talking to, right? Has more business than they've ever had. All these small companies are doing really well, but for whatever reason, if you just size it up a little bit bigger, they just can't figure it out. And so his question was kind of like, why do you think that is? So do you have any ideas? Why? Like why did the Craftsman plant close? They must have tons of money, you would think, that they could spend on research development, getting the stuff out, building.
And you can almost ask the same question: why did they close the Malco vice grip plant?
Well, Malco's not nearly as big of a company.
Yeah, but and my answer is stupidity and greed.
Well, that's too general.
Yeah, but I
don't think.
I think those overarching motivations torpedo projects like that. They're looking at the bottom line. They're looking at how much profit they can make. They're looking short term rather than long term. That's my sense.
Yeah.
And they're so big, and there's so many layers of bureaucracy that the decisions that need to be made are postponed or not made because of the layers of bureaucracy, and so bad things happen. I remember when they announced the Craftsman plant opening. They said that with all the new technology, it was going to be cheaper to make tools in the American Craftsman plant than in China.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, but
what is cheaper when you don't make anything?
Right. Yeah, or it doesn't work and you spend
Yeah.
So that was, and we've seen it countless times with factories where they have all these big plans, Malco, SK, Armstrong, where they set up these new factories and they don't work. They can't get the machinery working properly.
And so this was kind of my answer to him, which he didn't seem very satisfied with. But and it was it kind of runs along the line. One of them, I think, there's the scale of bureaucracy problem. You know, which is like even within Epstein's, like communication is hard, even among 6 people, right?
Right.
You make assumptions, you don't say things, people take things the wrong way, and that's just like 6 people in a room together that can like shout at each other across.
Right.
Now, if you have, you know, if you scale that up, you're just going to get exponentially more and more of that.
Right.
And so there's something about these large companies in which there's a communication problem. It's like an organism that the parts of it don't talk well with one another. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, and it just occurs to me that on one side there's the people that are looking at profitability and have no idea of the importance of where the product is made.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, in the smaller places they know that it's fundamentally important.
Right, but yeah, so Craftsman initially understood that, you would think from the beginning, where they like understood enough where like they made this huge advertising push. Oh, we're gonna have everything US made, we're gonna build a USA factory, and we're gonna put American flags and everything. But then had no follow. They just kind of had no follow through.
Right.
I think the other part might be something like there is this institutional knowledge that exists in these companies. Like in those small companies, like I visited Wright, you know, and everyone that worked there had worked there for a really long time. And if you ask them to explain what they do there or how things work, they could give you somewhat of a good explanation. But there would be so many things that they would leave out because they just have an intuitional understanding of all of how everything works and what they do. You know, it's like if I ask you to explain what you do here and all the things you know, there's like so much more because you've just been here for so long. Right. And so there's like this knowledge that exists in those types of companies. And when you start breaking them up and when you start firing people and replacing them,
for people
well, not necessarily idiots, but just like people that don't that are fresh, right, that have never set up a manufacturing facility. And so I think a lot of times what happens is these large companies, they get people involved in solving these problems. They're huge problems. So there's, like I said, there's communication problems just off the start. But then there's also, it's like you're kind of starting from the beginning. You know, you're not working with people that have done this 100 times and have this wisdom about how manufacturing facilities get incorporated together.
Yeah.
And so because we've kind of decimated a lot of the U.S. manufacturing, there's just not a lot of those people around anymore. Right? You just, and so when these companies go to do this, they're either not connecting with those people or, you know, and so I think that's like
and you hear plenty of stories about how they deliberately get rid of them because they've been around too long and they're making more than they think they should.
Right. Yeah, that's like a classic story of like a company coming in, firing the counter guy because they're like, why are we paying this guy so much money?
Right.
And then he starts his own business because he has all of the relationships and knows actually how the entire company works.
Yeah, that's how Craft Tool got started.
Right. So closing of the Craftsman plant. Any other thoughts about it, or? I mean, I honestly, I did not, like, I would, you know, whenever I go to Lowe's or Home Depot, which is, you know, somewhat often, I got a house, I sometimes need to fix stuff up, but I always kind of like wander through the tool section, you know, and look around, because I was waiting to see the, this USA Craftsman stuff materialize, and you know, I think I might have seen some boxes, but like pretty standard plastic boxes that said made in USA with global components. Maybe some tape measures that said Craftsman tapes that said made in the USA with global components. But you just never saw it, you know.
It could be also that the line was too big. You know, if you're gonna have a factory that's making screwdrivers and tape measures and sockets and ratchets, you know, that's just too big a factory.
Yeah.
They probably should have specialized. I mean, I don't even know.
Well, what about the market size? Because do you think there's room in the market for another really large brand? Because at this point, you've got, Cobalt, and you've got what's Home Depot's cheap
Husky.
stuff, Husky, and
but who are the
Harbor Freight's got Pittsburgh, right? So it's the market is already flooded with these large, inexpensive tools that you can buy.
Yeah.
And so is there a market for a cheaper line of USA tools that's going to come in and supplant any of that?
But ask yourself, what are the American-made tool companies left?
Well, they're not
There's not
competing.
many.
Well, but they're not competing for that market.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, more often than not, they're getting out of Lowe's and Home Depot. Or dealing with.
Well, there was a rumor that Estwing got dropped from Home Depot.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I think it is. I've heard it a couple of places.
No, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it could just be that that's just not a viable market anymore, and that the market that you want to focus on is going to be the mid to smaller markets. And so the attempts to redo this as an American made there's just not it's just not there. The homeowner people, the people that are don't really know much about tools, but are just trying to fix a problem so they never have to think about it again,
I once heard a statistic that it was a survey that Craftsman did. This was many years ago. That it was 40 or 50 or maybe even 60% of the tools they sold were never used. Do you ever hear that?
This is one of those stories that you always hear.
Urban legend.
I don't know if it's an urban legend, but you always hear this in this is where the lifetime warranty came from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that Craftsman did the study? They found that a small percentage of people actually used the tools. Most people just hung them up in their garage.
Right.
And so they're like, we'll give them a lifetime warranty because
Right.
they'll never break, or most of them won't.
Yeah.
And then we'll service the small amount of people that use them.
Right.
And then every other company copied it because they thought they had to. And now these brands are stuck with this lifetime warranty thing,
Right.
which is, I don't know. Some people are really into the warranty stuff. We don't. I mean, we warranty a few things from Wright, not often, but we're Wright distributors, so we warranty anything from them.
Klein, or
Klein.
Most American companies have a good warranty.
Yeah.
Channel lock,
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Someone should research to see if that story is actually true.
Right.
But I've heard that many times.
Yeah. But I guess, when you brought up about Cobalt and Husky in Pittsburgh and the cheap tool lines, but how many American tool lines exist that compete with one another? Not many. With mechanics, hand tools, sockets, and ratchets, you've got Wright, and SK is maybe coming back, and you've got Proto, and you've got Snap-on.
Yeah, I mean, SK is going to, everything I've seen has been imported.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
that
Wright, Proto, Snap-on. Williams, I think, still has some USA stuff.
I don't think, Williams is part of Snap-on.
I know, there's still some USA Williams stuff.
And does Mac make anything? I don't know. I don't think they do, but
I don't know. And then Martin makes very few things that they're never part of the conversation, but they do exist.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and then in the pliers, you got Klein, you got Channel Lock, Wildly, I guess.
Sure, Wildly. They make decent amount of pliers.
And they don't really compete with one another. They have their own niche markets, pretty much. And there's some overlap, but it seems like there will be room for more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their competition, at least in my experience, is Germany.
Yeah.
It's companies that spend a lot more money with product development and research and coming out with new products
and
coming
engineering.
out with engineering.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to buy a $15 pair of channel locks, or do you want to buy a $50 pair? Well, I mean, in the store, what we've seen is, it used to be guys would look at those Knipex pliers and laugh
Right.
at how much they were. They're just like, oh, $50 for a pair of pliers. And now it's like,
Give me two.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, to be able to see some new products come out of these companies, I mean, I think that's, in order to stay competitive, you're going to have to see some research and development.
Yeah, and where are the new products coming from? From Koken out of Japan, and Knipex out of Germany.
Yeah.
Ware's got interesting stuff out of Czech
Well,
Republic.
Tecton's coming out with some new stuff. I mean, they're not like a new design, but they're at least working on new stuff. You know, Wright was working on some new products for a while, but then what's happened is a lot of those people got swamped with back orders.
Yeah.
And so suddenly all of the research and development got put on hold because you were just like, I can't even fulfill my regular stock stuff. What, you think I'm going to start making new stuff I can't stock? So I think that put a pause, at least on a lot of the companies that we were dealing with. I mean, they cut back on their line in some cases. They stopped making certain products that weren't their best sellers.
Yeah, so did Channel Lock.
Yeah, a lot of companies
So
did
did Midwest Snip.
Council Tool.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe slimming down the line in order to focus more on the best sellers and then use that capital to come up with. I mean, Council Tool's come up with some new axes in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see more of it.
Yep. Anyway, it'll be interesting to find out if that article in the Wall Street Journal is going to come out.
Oh, yeah.
You should probably, maybe you can call him or...
Call the Wall Street Journal?
Well, call the guy.
I forgot what that guy's name was. Yeah. Somebody here, I bet, will, and when here I mean online.
Oh, yeah.
They'll have either seen it or will see it.
Yeah. So this is a call to all you out in the internet land. Let us know if the articles come out.
We used to subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, but
we did.
That ended with Ken retiring.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm the only one that ever read it, I think.
Yeah. I'd read the opinion section sometimes.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. All right. You good?